are doing today, at least for a little while. Uh, for the time being. So I'll try to come up with some stories to talk about or something. I don't have my notes with me. But come hang out with me. Let's have a sleepover. Drink coffee, eat watermelon, and drink water. Apply lotion to my hands thoroughly. Um, and hope you all have fun. Does Scroll of Agility go collect our daily sausages? Got a daily sausage quest. Starring somebody. Well, I hope you guys are having fun. It's kind of blasphemous for me to be here by myself, but I don't know. They probably won't be that way in the future. And I'll probably be really going like, God damn it, dude. Yeah, I wish you guys wouldn't bother me. I'm never happy. Computer mouse. How crazy is it? Like, Muse, my current favorite band, right? Favorite band of all time is Queen, but my current Queen, Muse, favorite band, is starting their tour in St. Charles, Missouri, where I'm from. I'm like, I think it's not a coincidence. I don't think it's a coincidence. They say don't accept anything as coincidence or whatever, but I'm like, that's a bit weird. My brother's actually getting to go to the concert, but the last time I went was like almost 8 or 9 years ago to the day, and That being said, it was at the same venue. My brother gave me the concert tickets. He won them through a contest at the bar he was working at. So I was able to, and I was penniless at that time, almost like now, but even more, well, probably not even more so then, but regardless, I could get to the concert and back. He gave me free tickets at the Hollywood Casino and all that stuff, which was awesome. And I don't know why he didn't go, but I guess he was just being nice to me. But he's gonna get to go to the show here Sunday. It starts in St. Charles, Missouri. Like, do people normally kick off their world tours there or anything, guys? If I just say it's one of them coincidences that don't exist. What do they call them? No, synchronicities. That's right. The last time I was there, I was like, Emilio. I was like so close to fuck. I was so close to being able to touch him, but I couldn't. He walked right up. I have pictures of it and everything. He walked right off stage and like walked right past our aisle and all this stuff. He took a really weird path. Like it's almost like he wanted me to touch him. Right? Whoa, Jodie Foster. Right? Relax, Jodie Foster. Oh shit! Did I abandon the wrong quest? No, I didn't. Well, fuck me running. No, I did. The daily. Shit. It said I failed one. Midsummer. No, here we are. Do you think Jodie Foster will like this T-shirt? I don't think Jodie Foster cares. Are you sure? That is what she would say. I think she's just playing like super hard to get. Nothing says hard to get like a restraining order, right? No, like really. Which actually it really is hard to get a restraining order anywhere. In the state of Tennessee, it's like this, it's like impossible to get a restraining order, which should be stupid. You should be able to just tell the cops like, this person's not allowed to talk to me kind of thing, and it should be that way, you know. But they have to go through like a court thing and all this stuff. I've tried to get one on a few people here, and they always tell me that, well, that's more of like it's like a civil union matter or whatever. Like you can't get a restraining order. Like you have to basically get the shit kicked out of you by your husband to get one in Tennessee, which has never happened before actually. In the entire history of the state of Tennessee, not one person has ever hit their wife somehow. And that's Alabama, that's right. Alabama, man. But yeah, no, it's like a fucking, if you try to get one, like people violent, dangerous, stupid, doing dangerous, violent, crazy shit, you're like, maybe it's just me they don't do it to, really, now that I think about it. They were the same people that wouldn't take like police reports and stuff from me, but whatever. What the fuck? Where is it? That's my dot, guy. Get the fuck away. What the fuck am I doing here? Come on now. Where is it? Do I not have the goddamn thing turned on or something? Shadows are disabled? Are you fucking kidding me? I feel like such a retard right now. I seen where it was. You fucking with me, guy? Fuck. All these people trying. Don't you guys have families and stuff to go hang out with or whatever? Like, go light some snakes in the driveway. I'm trying to do my quest. Please. I normally get this in like one attempt. There it is. There's the shadow. secretly giving me a goddamn eye exam. Thank God. Let me collect my fucking sausages and get out of here. I want to have like a whole bunch of food by the time Black Temple starts, so I never have to worry about this shit. Yeah, I don't know what I was trying to say, what point I was trying to make, but whatever. Oh yeah, Jodie Foster, just plain hard to get. That's right, that's right. Yep, really hard to get. Like really, really hard to get to. Really. Let's go farm. There's got to be like, I just feel like farming is like the lamest shit you can possibly do. Make band-aids. Oh. I watched The House of Cosby's last night. I haven't seen that since like God only knows how long ago. Guys, guys. It's a lot of sodium. Crazy. What a day for everyone, really. I had no fucking clue. You don't pay attention to all the other shit people have going on in the fourth until you realize you've got something to pay attention to yourself, you know? You know, fucking all people playing their shit around the fourth, apparently. Good. Glad we all did that then. It goes to show you, though, because, you know, like, well, some people celebrate Halloween just like the 4th of July. That's like a lot of people's 4th of July, really. I usually plan all my stuff around the 5th of November, but. Huh. Right. But couldn't do it this year, that year. It would have been great, though. I'd appreciate it all the same. The 4th or the 5th, right? 4th of July or the 5th of November. Or Halloween. I can never remember, though, if Halloween's like October. Because I forget how many days are in October. Anyway, thanks for hanging out with me. That's all I had to say today, guys. Good brush up on all this stuff that we had to take care of. Yeah, I haven't much talked about other than that one day, the shit that happened in the past and all that. I don't really plan on it either. But hopefully now you guys can kind of see, like, not to say where I draw inspiration from or whatever, but why I do this shit, despite the despite the fact that it's not always a great idea. But this time it was certainly the best idea ever. But the idea that yeah, I know everybody would advise if lawyers had ever gotten involved, they would have said, not you can't do this in a million years. You're not allowed to do it. Never. You know. Then again, those are the same people that tell Kim Kardashian she's not allowed to touch her thermostat either. So yeah, I probably won't be taking their advice. Needless to say, yeah, so I didn't advise anybody on what I was doing, nor would I have listened if I did either. So one of those things, I got to find the shit out for myself. Stockpiling arcane dust. God, dude, I'm only down to 1,900 gold. That's crazy. Spent all that getting the engineering helmets and all that. All right now. Yikes. Is it the same layer that we were already on? Good timing, I guess, for that guy, but I'm trying to get on a layer where we have just two guys here. Yeah, I hate the guy trying to do that. I got this ret paladin that keeps trying to kill him for some reason. Hoping he leaves. I'm in full PvE gear. Glass cannon, they call it. Glass cannon mode. The Moon Kindred's been farming peacefully for whatever amount of time now. Just it's a really good farming spot for just 2 people. But when you get 3 people, it's like kind of lame. Looks like I layered 3 people yet again, but at least. Oh, don't feel terrible. Merlin here is wearing a shower curtain. Oy vey. Yeah, well, this is lame. There was a poll on TV earlier. They said, "What's the best Fourth of July movie?" And someone had the nerve to say Die Hard, of all things. Is one of the Die Hards take place in the 4th of July that I'm not aware of, the third one or whatever? But The Patriot was number one last I seen, and then I think Independence Day was number two. I'm like, is that a tongue-in-cheek joke because everybody says Die Hard isn't a Christmas movie? There's just like the fact there's like half a dozen dead guys dressed like Santa Claus throughout the thing. Pretty sure it's a Christmas movie. That noise is so goddamn annoying. So we couldn't find out why the computer chips were different. Yeah, I wish I had a little more pep in my step today. I apologize for that's a thing. I can't. Apparently, never mind. In the UK, apparently, anytime anybody with an English American accent does something, they have to apologize beforehand or something. I saw that earlier. Laughed my ass off. Like we have a video here for you, but please forgive us. These people, these troglodytes across the sea here, on the other side of the pond, they speak English, right? There's a disclaimer every time. I swear, if that's not the funniest girl ever, dude, she cracks me up every time I see her. Everything I do it for you. Right. The fucking ants are out in full force. Like once a year, like right at the beginning of the season, I have to get the place sprayed. And I'm always like, well, I'll wait till I see them before I spray. And then every year they're always like 4 or 5 days later. You know what I mean? So I gotta get the guy here to spray. Sorry, spray. I'm disappointed in you. Ants. My grandpa was a pest control guy. That was his living, right? He got back from Vietnam, and while he was there, he was the guy that either flew it, sprayed it, or whatever the defoliant Agent Orange, and so he was qualified to kill bugs with with fucking sprays, I guess is what it was. I remember him telling me the first time he ever went bug spraying was like he'd done all this shit and traveled around and like picked cotton and all this stuff and had to travel for work everywhere he went. And then he's like, he got his like first day on the job doing pest control, and some like super rich lady farmer where we're from in Sykeston, Missouri, real nice, like not like nice, but like the farmers have a shitload of money, everybody else is kind of poor. They had him spray their grain silos, and he's like he made more in 1 or 2 days worth of work spraying like grain silos and stuff, and did like a month of like all that other shit he was doing. He's like, yeah, I guess I'm gonna be doing bug spraying now. All right, that's what he did for like the last 30 or 40 years of his life. Real country folk profession. Real country folk, isn't he? It's a real country folk profession. I liked his logic though. I'm like, he got to the point he explained it to me like I wouldn't understand that. Like, you mean to tell me that woman paid you a month's salary to spray those 3 or 4 grain silos and you had to think twice about the shit? I would have been all over it. Yep, I quit picking cotton. I'm no longer traveling anywhere to do shit. I will be killing ants for the rest of my life. In all honesty, I do it right now. Just fucking spray for bugs. I think I have one of them things in the garage. He had to get certified as he got older after, Jimmy Carter became president and suddenly the EPA got involved or whatever. He had to take certification courses before he just mixed the shit in his garage. Then he had to go get qualified and all these things, right? Thanks a lot, Jimmy Carter. Made it good until you came along. Might have been Ronald Reagan, really, but he wasn't much for politics. I think he's seen through it, you know. That's one of those things, like, when I was way younger, I could give a shit less about politics, and then around 6th or 7th grade, I started getting interested in politics, somewhat, like finding a political identity of some way, shape, or form, or whatever. And I think, like, you come full circle, like, you start off not giving a shit about politics, and like in your young adulthood and middle age or whatever, you get to thinking about politics like like it's a thing, and then you at some point in time you have to be disenfranchised with it entirely by the time you're about like 60 years old. And what a joke a lot of this shit is. And the fact of the matter is, as much as I like Donald Trump, the idea that there's any one person that's going to go to Washington, D.C. and change anything is ridiculous. Now it's like you can basically be the best negotiator possible, and promise the most concessions to one and the least concessions to the other or whatever, but at the end of the day, no one goes to Washington and doesn't make a single concession, you know what I mean? There's always some compromise, which I guess is how it works, but the idea that like what we really want is that the messianic like Rand Paul to go there or Ron Paul to just nope, but shit isn't happening if, kind of like, yeah, we just want that benign dictator for just 1 year, then chuck democracy out the window. But that's what people want, the idealists, the maximalists, for libertarians and all that, really want that like the guy that just does not compromise. And it's like, yeah, and like, that person cannot get elected, and when they get there, they will get fucking, if they, by the grace of God, win an election, their presence won't be well received by the lobbyists and the private interest groups that essentially have had their foot in the door, if not their name on the desk at the Oval Office for the last 150 years. So I wouldn't consider it the greatest idea ever. Yeah, if the White House, let me guess, it wasn't there then. Am I not right on the timeline? You get what I'm saying. They've been there a while. The lobbyists consider their private interests in politics more important than any one presidency, so don't expect to change their mind. And that's shitty, but in all reality, I don't know what system works better than lobbying. I just know I don't like lobbying, and I wouldn't know how to do it any better. You know what I mean? There's guys, I think they say like lobbying should be illegal. I'm like, yeah, then how do you appropriate time to each cause accordingly. It's like, well, dollars are kind of a representation of like effort and things, you know. So a dollar does kind of make sense when lobbyists pay, you know. And it's like, but that's just doesn't seem right, does it? So if there was a system that could properly allocate time to people without like how much can you grease the skids as far as dollars are concerned, yeah, it's like that's a shitty system. It's the only system that I can, you know, not that I've thought of it, but of all the other choices currently, I don't think there's one that's better. I'm all ears for the idea though. If someone has a better option, it's like, well, why? Yeah, well, a real capitalist, dollars will fix anything, right? That's how you know, makes the world go around, kind of shit. But uh, it just seems like it shouldn't be there. That's all. I can't necessarily explain why it shouldn't work or why it doesn't work or why I don't like it, but I just know I don't like it, kind of thing. Like letting retarded people dress in drag. That's another example of something that like I can't quite tell you why. Like you get into the freedom argument, they're like, yeah, everybody should have their choice of expression and all that stuff. I'm like, yeah, but isn't it just wrong? Like it's one of those things. Like, shouldn't it just be against the law to let retarded people like get into dress in drag and all that stuff? Like, don't you not let little kids do it? And they have the same mental capacity, so I guess that's my line of thinking, you know, like why do you let someone, you say a kid can't make the decision for themselves, and trust me, I agree, then why do you let retarded people who are arguably, in a lot of cases, less capable of making that decision for themselves than even a child, um, you know, so I can say that I have a problem with that. For whatever reason, people don't like the idea that, yeah, I just think it's wrong, that's all. Can't really express it. If I have to go beyond just a plain explanation of it, I just don't like it kind of thing. It seems like you probably aren't going to get it regardless. It always becomes one of these, and this is why it always breaks down to a compromise. Maybe not with the retarded people in drag thing, but the idea that you mean to tell me you're going to go to Washington D.C. and not concede even just 1 foot of ground on any of your beliefs? Yeah, I wouldn't believe that it's just not possible. You know, concess, whatever. Concede, whatever. I have a lisp. You can't tell the difference anyway. But you know, it was up until the point where Rand Paul dropped out of the race in 2016. The day Rand Paul dropped out, my choice was then Donald Trump, right? Because I was one of those guys that thought, I was only 26 at the time. I'm like, my ideology is that like, how can I support someone that isn't going to have that just like, no, fuck you people, you know? And over the years, you know, I've learned that it's more of it's diplomacy for a reason, you know, politics and all that. So the idea that you're gonna go to Washington D.C. to change it, it's like, you can go to Washington D.C. and piss everyone off, right? It's like, but those people, they're entrenched there. They think it's their, they think it belongs to them, you know. Lobbyists, private interests, whatever you want to call it. 15-term congressmen and senators and all that stuff. Yeah, no, there's a reason why they've got what's his face on like life support there in his hospital bed on the Senate floor, you know. But the person reaching at Bernie's raising his hand to vote against whatever goddamn thing they're trying to do these days, right? And Chuck Schumer, right? I think is his name. It'd only be more embarrassing if they carted out Mick Jagger to do it. Although he seems to be pretty healthy, dude. Mick Jagger, he still gets around, doesn't he? That's why I say that at some point in time, but here's the thing, it's like flavor of the month, right? Yeah, at some point in time, some guy could come along, you know, and have no party affiliation or an entirely new political party, and they would just dress up either or side as that, and then it would be business as usual. It would be like a good marketing thing. It would be a gimmick, but I really like that John Fetterman guy. I really do. If the left ran John Fetterman, I think they'd have a good chance. He's got like a just a nice kind of even keel. He seems like he's the type of guy that just knows like he makes sense with the shit. You know, I don't follow the guy that much. Not as much as I follow Jodie Foster, but uh, he has that kind of just common sense approach to shit versus party politics and all that. I think he's made that his kind of his thing though. Whereas they want to run that AOC. I don't know how to say her name. Manuela. Manuela. They want to run Manuela for president, but the thing is though, she's a lefty, and I think people are going to be tired of this shit by the time it gets there. I would say if they really wanted an interesting election, it would be Manuela, um, Marco Rubio, Batmanuela, and um, John Fetterman. Yeah, but I'd say depending on how the midterms go, I say Marco Rubio currently probably has the best. Because yeah, here I am saying like, yeah, but I'll vote Republican if it's a Republican over John Fetterman because you know, but Marco Rubio would be a good choice too though. But John Fetterman because he's more, I'd say yeah, the word's moderate than Manuela. Is it Manuela or Manuela? Manuela? All right now. Calm down everyone. Yeah, but as soon as Rand Paul, I guess, dropped out of the race in 20, was it 16 or 17 or whatever, I was like, all right, Trump. And it's been that way ever since just because it took part of the first term for me to understand the part about politics because that's the most close I've ever followed politics before was the 2016 election, right? And then this last one, whatever it was, 2024 or 5, whatever it was. And I realized that an idealist is going to have a tough time, you know, as good as their ideals are. You would really hope they get some like high level appointee position or whatever, but as far as like being able to actually negotiate amongst a whole bunch of people bickering and arguing and trying to remain as neutral as possible. Did you just teleport here, guy? But I think, man, like, hopefully this next go around, somebody that I know gets to run, again. It was interesting. I wasn't necessarily working with John at the time when he ran for president, but, well, no, they did the second time, but the second time was like a whole bunch of fucking, I wasn't there for the entire duration of the election and all that shit, plus it was more of a farce at that point in time. There was no, like, real spark or enthusiasm. It was more just like a publicity stunt, much like the first time, but he was also juggling like a whole bunch more shit, I guess, or trying to, whatever, lack thereof, trying to juggle a whole bunch of extra stuff. So like, plus with like FBI indictments and the IRS and the Securities and Exchange Commission and the cartel and fucking space aliens and all. And no, actually, at one point in time, he did say that. He did say some shit about aliens, didn't he? Anyway, he did actually say some shit about aliens. Yeah, anyway. Like, please tell us more. Will Smith is practically drooling over spaghetti right now, right? Wants to hear it. Yeah, he didn't have a whole lot to say about aliens. One time he did, like, first thing in the morning, I woke up to gunshots upstairs, or downstairs rather, and everybody was all freaked the fuck out. There was big bullet holes in the floor and windows and stuff. And he said that he'd gotten his hands on some fucking Chinese brake fluid or some shit, and he thought fucking aliens were living under the house or some shit, right? I'm like, what was all that gunfire about this morning? Scared out of my fucking mind. I don't normally wake up to an alarm clock, much less fucking all that shit, right? He said, turns out there's a little alien underneath the house. Like, oh, I'll be upstairs for the next 6 to 7 weeks, right? I'll be cowering upstairs. You guys have fun. If you guys need me, I'll be going upstairs with this clove of garlic for some other reason. Right. And when the young priest and the old priest come to the front door, just point them upstairs, please. I'll be in my room. Now it gives me an idea though. Remember those games were so much fun. The browser-based, like vampires, werewolves, and I'm trying to think for AIs or a browser, not a browser-based game, but I'm like, yeah, no, like you could make a necklace out of garlic to keep the vampires away. Okay, okay. Like, that's as far as I've gotten with it, but you could craft a necklace of garlic to not get attacked by vampires, but you cannot attack something while wearing a necklace made of garlic. So you have to choose to either, it's like your flag for PvP then, or something. Silver bullets is to prevent werewolves. Yeah, there's a balance somewhere. Anyway. Yeah, no, that was the alien discussion, right? And he alluded to at some point, in fact, that he had like a network of people that traded like underground footage of things, and he said there was like some real life alien footage out there somewhere, like the autopsy video, but like only private collectors could get their hands on it, type of thing, right? That was the extent of our alien discussions. He was super convinced that the head of the FBI at the time was, which honestly he might have been, really had drones stationed over the house, because anytime you'd go outside, there'd be like these like 4 or 5 lights you could see flying over the house that you couldn't convince. I can hardly see the shit anyway. But he was like, no, these are drones. The FBI. Ever since ever since I went on Russia Today and called James Comey a cocksucker, these drone planes showed up outside his house apparently. And he's like, well, they stay up in the air, and he had like a log of it all, like each one when it would and wouldn't reappear. He's like, they stay up in the air about 17 hours a day. I don't know what type of battery pack and how much they'd weigh. He's like, so how would you do it? I'm like, I don't fucking know. A wire, probably? Right. But he was super convinced of this shit, and like he'd have everybody over, and he'd give them their binoculars, and he'd drag them out on the back porch or whatever, and like, look, do you see it? Do you see it? Like, you weren't allowed to, like, this is kind of like a joke, like, no, but like, you know, he was like real, like, no, you need to see this fucking imaginary helicopter outside kind of thing. I say, like, you weren't allowed to leave until you, but there were times where you couldn't, you know, but that wasn't one of them, but in a joking sense, no, like, fucking, you went on the back porch, he gave you the binoculars, and if you did not admit to seeing this potentially imaginary drone thing that James Comey planted there, then you were destined to live on the porch until you did, I guess. Really? All farming here in peace together. But that was kind of like, not to say like the initiation process, but one of the like kind of, okay, like you kind of see how things are here, you know, basically your responsibility, not to say mine, but everybody else's seemed to be, was whatever this guy says, just agree with it. Like, yeah, I have a hard time. I'm like, yeah, no, I can't fucking see it. I'm not saying it's not there. You know, we get into an argument about the thing. I'm like, I'm visually impaired. You know, I can't see the thing. He's like, okay, well then how would you do it then? I'm like I said, a wire, like a real thin wire. And yeah, I don't know. So yeah, that was one of those things though where, like I said, everybody had to have like. There was a one point in time, dude. Yeah, I'm not even gonna get into all that stuff really. Save it for more personal, like, because some of the shit I, you know, just I've yet to discuss with people, and I'm not going to for a while. But yeah, no, the alien stuff, yeah, that's just like lighthearted and all that. That was kind of the thing, though. Was like, yeah, well, you know, not that I ever had to. And he was an alcoholic, like a raging alcoholic, right? But you got the impression that his father was also a raging alcoholic, and I've heard stories about people that had like alcoholic parents, like especially fathers, and like the typical kind of alcoholic father-like figure behavior. You know, you're like, yeah, sometimes you just kind of chuckle and laugh to try and kind of, you know, like to pray he stays in a great mood, you know. And he was the type of person that, in all reality, he was a pretty up and whatever person, but when he wasn't, you know what I mean? So like, so if he's only a complete and total piece of shit, at what percentage of time is it acceptable? Like, well, he more than made up for it by the, you know what I mean? Quality over quantity then, right? But yeah, talk about a tough course to navigate as far as somebody's concerned. I don't know what to say is, like, I don't ever want to say mentally ill, because it's like, I don't think that's fair. Some people just are pieces of shit when it comes down to it. Or can be, or felt they had the justification, or whatever. At the end of the day, it doesn't change what people did. Really? All of you people now? Are you fucking serious? Well, I can't farm here anymore. Is there a reason for that? Like, just kill the people here and leave? Yeah, I had a friend growing up whose dad was like a real bad alcoholic, and I kind of remember that same kind of thing, like, oh, he's drunk and cheerful, Yeah, and then just pray that he doesn't get, anything other than that. Because some of the shit, man, I mean, tell you, like, some of the shit's kind of rough living like that. We got Acrex. God damn it. Had that guy dead to rights. Shit. Well, well, that was lame. I don't have a farm spot now. Fuck. Yeah, I have to agree with that statement. Was it Paolo Ardonio, the guy from Tether? The push to open source and decentralization and all that stuff, self-hosting and all that. But then again, it's to that point though where it's gonna, like I said, it's gonna cut into some of the margin or whatever. But if Anthropic's still the only person that can come up with a coding agent that's able to fucking hack NORAD or whatever, then basically their infrastructure becomes like a commodity, right? Because you can use their shit on their infrastructure. Like you can't use OpenAI's shit on their infrastructure, correct? Right? Maybe there's spillover there, but or whatever. But the idea that they're the only one you can get it from, so then again, that won't always be that way. You know, it won't. Then again, you might want to ask somebody that actually knows about coding agents, not just somebody that knows what they read on the news about them. I could be entirely wrong. Grok's thing could be just as good for all I know, but you see all the news about like, oh, Mythos can do this, that, and the other thing, which makes you wonder, you know, because what was it not that long ago that like one of the angels on your shoulder and one of the devil, you know, was saying like two totally opposite things, like we need responsibility in AI. We can't do this regulations, sitting there kissing the Pope's ring and all that. And then the other guy was saying, well, we invented this AI that can do all, like, you know, hack any nation state on planet Earth. Like, so do you guys work at the same place together? How is that possible? Yeah, no, they're both like the heads of the company. They have, from what I can gather, like completely, it seems like diametrically opposed kind of viewpoints as far as what should or shouldn't be of AI, at least with or without regulation or what, you know. Yeah, it's tough, man. Like I said, I think that AI is like going to be the first real technology besides nuclear that people have, the government has like a reasonable argument to say how much of this stuff falls under the guise of national security or whatever. Right, guys? Like regulatory, regulation wise. Right, guys? I forget all that shit, dude. Right after this all happened, I remember sitting in jail, and my brother, he's obsessed with Sam Hyde, right? I'm sitting in jail, like, for like the fucking 20 something months after ended up getting into a fight with that Nazi. And he's like, yeah, Sam Hyde, man, he's gonna get into a boxing match or whatever. And I was in jail when it happened, but I'm like, what a strange coincidence that was, right? No, that was completely unrelated too. That wasn't like he wasn't one of the guys that knew. It just happened to be that, you know, maybe he did. I don't know. I doubt it, but maybe he did. I don't fucking know. But it was pretty funny though. Like, I still haven't even told my own brother about it. People, I want it to be a surprise because they will go, we had no clue. I'm like, yeah, well, I don't like talking about shit normally. It's like with most of the things that happened in my life, I've kept quiet about for the last, count them out, dude, 36 years. I almost thought it was 37 for a second. I've I don't talk about shit, and I feel like that's probably sometimes not always a good thing. So I've slowly kind of say told my side of the story, but yeah, but it was kind of funny though. Him like the joke is like how much he looked up to Sam for getting in the boxing ring and like getting into shape and all that stuff. I'm like, yeah, I know that's pretty cool. I agree, that is pretty awesome. I'm glad he did it, right? You can imagine sitting there like, I can't tell you, but yeah, no, I'm really glad he did this shit. I think that's a great idea. Like a mirror image, like it's kind of how it works though. Is like you always like look up to the person, like you know what I mean. You deify these people because you don't know them, and then when you get to realize that they get runny noses and shit their pants like anyone else does, you're like, yeah, we'll kind of remove some of the mysticism, you know, just a dickhead like everybody else. Which makes me think of a cool rap name though. I was trying to come up with cool rap names. Sism, his name's Sism. He's a rapper named Sism, right? You call him Mysticism. Mysticism, right? Just like Mysticant. Mysticism. Yeah, it turns out like there's actual groups that tell you to go punch Nazis in the face. That those people, the same people that get accused of being Nazis or being Trump supporters, or racist at that too. You know, like come on, man, like we can all appreciate a good joke. I would hope. So to call any of these people racist or Nazis is like, well, actually, now that I think about it, they're qualifiably the least Nazi people on planet Earth right now. Even the IDF says, right? Right. Same people that faked the moon landing. They didn't have to fake this one. They didn't fake the second one. See, we should all be able to appreciate a good joke. That's all. And I think the reason why is my brother James in real life, right? He sees Sam. I guess sees him just like he doesn't even realize. The guy's like, if you had to describe me to somebody else and ask them to draw this person, it would be him. You know what I mean? Like a reflection, almost like a mirror, kind of. Like no wonder my brother's drawn to the guy so much, right? Just like I'm always the same about like Matt Stone and Trey Parker. Except I think right, I'm pretty sure both of those guys have shit their pants in front of me. I think about it, though, I have seen both of them shit their pants before, actually. So no, not quite like that. Right. But does that make sense? Like, of course it makes sense. It makes perfect sense. You don't need to explain it. My favorite people, though. And all I ever have to say to anybody is like, if you like what I've done, then, you know, if you like the shit that I've done, oh my god, dude. You're the reason why. You know what I mean? Any of these people that I talk about, holding high regards and all that. I'm like, if you like the shit that I'm doing, well, you guys taught me pretty well, you know? Like I said, all I like, without trying to be a rip-off artist, try and take some of what everybody else has done that I've really appreciated and put my own whatever on it, spin, twist, whatever you want to call it, as far as anything. So I'm a product of your hard work. If that's yeah, that's an understatement probably. Like you guys built me. No, you guys like fucking sit there and mold my brain, right? Sit in the chair, put the things in your eyes, right? Mold my brain, made me do it. That's a Stanley Kubrick reference if you don't get it. The Clockwork Orangey. Oh fuck. There's a meme. Clockwork Orangey. Oh shit. Now I think about it. It's like that guy's like a third of the things. A third of my memes are about that guy for some reason. Oh come on now. Where's just a regular picture of him? Let's see if AI can do it. God damn it. Where is it now? Cool, cool. Um, it's not going to be able to do it. God damn it. But it's funny. When AI gets to that point, then I'll pay attention. When it can convert that thing there, what I just said, make a goddamn meme. Clockwork Orangey. See, if I were a meme coin launcher or whatever, I would say, oh my god, that's like, it's enough to solve all of my problems right now. But The thing is, I don't know how old Orangey is, but that guy's practically me, isn't he? At some point in time, I would think maybe. Seemed like he played League of Legends or something, didn't he? Dota, one of them games competitively. I don't know how, I think he's like, what, 25 or something? Seems like a nice enough fella. I think making memes about him is even better, but. What was the other one? Oh yeah, they promised me this airdrop 4,000 years ago. That was pretty good. Well, they promised me this airdrop 4,000 years ago. That was pretty funny. Clockwork Orangey's clever play on words, but. Yeah, it's like, the thing is, yeah, well, Ansem, he's airdropped however many millions of dollars of the token now or whatever. You're like, yeah, go spend it. Go try to spend it. See what happens. And I kind of get, like, I don't know how much insidery baseball kind of shit that is. I mean, it has to be pretty, like, if someone were to say, okay, I'm going to give away $5 million worth of my token to people, like, you have to have some kind of assurance from those people that you give it to that they're not going to sell it and fuck up the entire thing. Because if you airdrop $5 million worth of your own token to a bunch of people that you don't actually know, then good luck finding, I cannot find, count one hand, right? I cannot count on one hand. I can't take up all the fingers on one hand, including a thumb, the people that I've met on the internet that I can trust to do shit, period, anything really, like at all, you know what I mean, period. Um, so the idea that somehow someone managed to find a bunch of strangers on the internet to airdrop their token to, I'm not saying the guy said it was a lottery or not, but the thing is the fact is I wouldn't believe if you told me that you found 100 people that you trusted online to airdrop a token to, that you can do whatever, you can sell it, do whatever you want with the thing, it's yours, right? And there's no inside baseball, like those people really trust, I mean, maybe, dude, maybe, I wouldn't believe it. So I don't know how much, I haven't paid enough attention to this shit, so the idea, like, what portion of the giveaway or airdrop was not orchestrated, you know, I don't know, I'm not making that accusation either. I'm just saying, if someone were to say, yeah, no, I airdropped to 100 total strangers, enough to completely liquidate the thing, you know, give it $0 in the liquidity pool, based on just the raw numbers, not like where market makers fill in and all that shit. Like, you mean to tell me that you found 100 strangers that you can trust like that? God, dude, I have to have your ear eventually then, because what are you doing that I don't know how to do? You know what I mean? Because I cannot find seemingly zero, you know, now. I know that number's not necessarily true, but all the ones I can trust are, well, people you know, you know, and I don't have to trust them. That's the thing, right? Not to say that I would, that it would be any different if the things were the other way around or not, but yeah, the reason why I can know I can trust them is, like, they wouldn't have gotten where they were by not being trustworthy, you know. But to say, like, you found that many strangers on the internet, my thing is if it's all a horse and pony show and it is ultimately good for crypto, it just, I cannot support the idea that, like, all of these people, but here's the thing, if they're all just part of some big internet stage production, like, I seen some guy the other day say, but this is where it gets into the part that why I can't support it. These scammers running around saying, yeah, I bought a new airplane with my Ansem money. You're like, no, you didn't. Not even possible. People saying they made 10, 12, $15 million. I'm like, no, you didn't. It's not possible. Go try and convince a bank of that and get a loan based on that. You wouldn't be able to do it. So that's why I'm just not having an opinion. Well, not much of an opinion, just the idea that, yeah, well, it starts off where, like, at some level, like, it's fun and games and it's getting everybody revved up and cheered up for the, you know, potential bull cycle that'll start eventually. But in reality, some of this shit does more harm than good, you know. People that want, like, that don't have a full understanding but want an honest explanation, it's like you're not liable to get either of these things from this sort of thing. So, or an honest representation of what crypto is actually about. realize there are marketing campaigns that cost more than that. You know what I mean? Like actual marketing campaigns, I'm sure in cryptocurrency at some point in time, like actual cash dollars, hand-to-hand transaction for advertising. Some of the more major ICOs and stuff that took place, I'm sure had allocated more than $1 million or $2 million for an advertising budget. So, in a sense, the only thing I could technically support it for would be an advertisement campaign. You know what I mean? If you were to write the entire thing off as like an advertising campaign, but then I'm not a legal guy, so don't quote me on it. But then you're getting into this market thing, and you're like, yeah, it's like a big clusterfuck. Yeah, I wouldn't get involved. That's all. Like, don't get me wrong, it seems to be working effectively as some form of advertising. I can't get on board with it unless it is just for advertising. But when you get into the idea that you're trying to sell these people a lie based on an advertisement, then suddenly I can't allocate resources to that kind of thing, you know? A round explanation of why it is I wouldn't be able to. I see it's effective, and I think that's a really clever way of spending $1.9 million or whatever the end cost is for whoever's fronting the whole thing. But strictly from like an advertising standpoint, you're like, yeah, you can't really, it's not a very honest, advertising scheme or whatever. I don't know if it's against the law or not, but where are you? A clockwork orangey, goddammit. I can't get the thing to work though. But in all reality, hey, if I clean up this next year or two, end up with a bunch of money in my pocket, then I'm on the same trajectory as Elon was at his age, right? Hopefully, all my plays will pan out from this point forward. That I'm pretty sure that they will. I think all the rust in my bags will be. I think all the rust plays have already gone to the wayside. But then I'll be on the same trajectory arc as Elon. I'll be a trillionaire before the end of it. It would be cool though to be the world's youngest trillionaire, because technically Elon right now is the world's blackest trillionaire. If you think about it, I'm not wrong. He is the blackest trillionaire. Yes, he is. Go look at his skin. He is the blackest trillionaire. Then he's the blackest trillionaire. He's the most feminine, the gayest, the straightest. He's the omnipotent. He is the only one. He is the blackest trillionaire. Yeah, he is. He sure shit is. That's the one of the jokes about the left though is when they say, like, they're all like, if you look at Elon on paper, like, could you not pick a better guy for your fucking thing? Electric car, impoverished South African kid, all this other stuff, right? beats adversity, starts up all these tech companies, does all this stuff, loves his mom. You're like, he is the goddamn poster child of the left. Then he's a friend with Trump, and suddenly they want to throw him in the incinerator. You're like, yeah, what the fuck is wrong with him? He's the blackest person you guys have. He's the blackest person that they're in politics, pretty much, right? If you think about it on paper, yes, he is. If only we could get his mom to smoke a bunch of crack, we could seal the deal, but I don't know if that's happening or not. Maybe she has, maybe she hasn't. But the left's poster child, as soon as a Trump supporter, nope. Oy vey. But in all honesty, though, I would like to see more like high-level gamers and stuff participate in crypto, because the amount of competitiveness, and that is something I can say about Def for sure, is that I think he plays Dota or one of them like high-skill MOBA games or whatever, and you can tell like someone's based on their determination. Like you're more about winning than you are making money. Well, say making money is a part of it, but you're more about like being the best, and you know that that's the goal. You know what I mean? So I would prefer to find more people that have that mindset. You know what I mean? That are more about being the best, and ultimately getting paid is part of it, but being the best is the most important part. You know what I mean? Without letting it inflate your ego to the point where you can't be dealt with or anything. You know what I mean? But the people that have that mentality, like you look at it like a ladder in gaming, and you're like, yeah, I want to be at the top of the ladder. You know what I mean? Just when I was younger, when I had like nothing at all, my mom had spent all of her all of her money on crack. My mom smoked she smoked all of her lottery ticket money and spent it on crack, right? Anyway, um, growing up, whatever, I'm like, well, of all the shit, and look, I've had more than a few dollars in my bank account before, and it took about like less than a year for me to get tired of it. Not to say tired of it, but like I had purchased all the things that I thought that I always wanted as a kid. You know what I mean? Like when I was younger, I had like a real shitty computer. I had to hobble the thing together and build it myself and everything. Scrap parts here and there, and had fun playing World of Warcraft with it. And I was always like, God, if I ever make it in life, buy the best computer that money can buy, make me that much better at video games, right? And that was like how I measured my self-worth. And that being said, when I got older, I had that opportunity, and I realized, no, the fucking struggle was the part that made it fun. Making what you had work is what was fun about it. As shitty as that it is sometimes, it's like you really appreciate fucking not having it made easy for you, you know? 'Cause I grew up poor as shit, and have done better and have done worse, than what I'm currently doing. But it takes about less than a year for you to completely spend, not to say all the money you have, but to purchase all the shit that you thought was going to make you happy. Other than buying like really super nice sports cars and stuff, I bought a nice home and all that. Didn't make me happy. It's a fucking misery, dude. I can't even knock the cobwebs off everything. It's a chore. You know what I mean? And that being said, though, like I got a really super good gaming computer at some point in time, right? Yeah, I just all the shit that I thought I wanted as a kid. I'm like, so what was the thing that made me happy? I was like, well, basically being like one of the top 100 World of Warcraft players at some point in time. That's the thing that I really measured my self-worth. You know, that's the thing that like gave me joy, being competitive. And actually I hate being competitive, dude, because I get too competitive and it's not good for me. You know, it consumes me. You know, to get competitive with people. So I don't advise it for myself. You know, but I think if there were more people that had that approach to cryptocurrency, where like, okay, if you fucking pull all the grandmas out of the goddamn Lipitor prescriptions that you want to, but and if that's the shit, if it brings you joy, then I question what's wrong with you, because it sure did me, you know. Don't get me wrong, everybody likes to eat good every now and again and go on a vacation, not have to worry about rent and all that, but it sure shit isn't worth like sacrificing your soul if you have one to begin with, you know. And it's a lesson that I can say, like, all those cute girls in school that were giving you shit for wanting to do nothing but fucking play video games. I'm like, this is the lesson all their dickhead boyfriends currently cannot figure out. I know that for a fact, and I learned that when I was 15 years old. So, not to say I'm ahead of the curb. No, but yeah, I certainly was with that. Not to blow my own horn or whatever, but that's like life lesson, you know. Talking to my younger self. Orangey is the new black. There you go. Orangey is the new black. Perfect. We got Clockwork Orangey. Orangey is the new black. Two awesome memes. You know that fucking fart smeller Elon's fucking AI cannot generate the goddamn picture that I want. Orangey is the new black. Fuck, that's funny. God damn it. The time his Minecraft character smoked all of his. Right. Smoked all of his internet crack. But I am going to turn on the air conditioner real quick. It is 92 out. Anyway, yeah, so the other day I was talking about David Cross and how, like, if you watch that documentary, like, I forget what it's called, but, like, it was like I feel like it was like a litmus test to see, are there people that are going to just jump on board and make fun of this lady just because the person that they're watching their documentary says to, you know. And I feel the same way about, I don't know what point I was just trying to make. Yeah, never mind, scrap that. But no, it's a life lesson there, you know. Are you the type of person that thinks or says that they think something just because someone else tells you to or has influence over you, right? I can't remember what, in relation to what, but you know, whatever. None of this here matters. Why, thank you. Oh yeah, Elon. Okay, you know, the point was, yeah, so like he's like he essentially demographically, he's like the poster child of the left, yet he's ostracized more than anyone solely because he has one association with one person, which you know, like I don't know in a constitutional context what that means, but you know, free association, that's to associate with people however you please, right? I'm sure there's probably a business thing to it too, or like a private or whatever enterprise interpretation of it as far as business is concerned. But I think that means interpersonal relationships as well. You're like, so well, you can judge the geese by his gander or whatever the fuck they would say. You know, I don't even know if that makes any sense, but the idea that like how stupid are some of the people on the left to sit there and ostracize Elon Musk for basically being their poster child, you know, and unfortunately a whole lot of them do. So in a lot of ways, it is like a litmus test for not to say how stupid are you, but how much do you really believe in what you say you believe in, and how much do you just buy what the media tells you. So I think at some point in time, breaking down the political duopoly, right? At some point in time, to people, like, if you were to describe this and you were to change Elon's skin color, and you were to say that you hated the man, you would say you were a racist. You would say you are a racist for not liking him based on his demographics alone. Like, so, but because he's a white guy and he's a friend with Trump, suddenly, you know, like suddenly it's okay, you know, it's retarded. And if you were to ever break that down to people and say, I'm not saying you need to be a conservative, you don't need to, certainly don't need to go be a registered Republican or anything, but at least question what the media tells you. You know what I mean? Because there is a motive behind why it is that they try to sell you all that garbage. And it's to keep you, you know, I hate to quote George Carlin or whatever, but or something he would say, you know, but it isn't to keep you free, you know. They want you thinking like sheep. But yeah, it's just the same dilemma, right? David Cross, David Cross, I believe, is doing it intentionally to see him trolling people. But politically, though, it's like, yeah, you people have basically shit all over your poster child, like your messiah, Elon Musk, the electric car guy, South African, uh, raised by primarily his mother, right? You know, like what more do you want? J.D. Vance, similar thing, right? If I remember correctly, like on paper, these guys are like your you know your bread and butter. Yet they tend to shit all over them because of they're friends with Trump or whatever. Yeah, I know I'm not like breaking any new ground here, explaining these things, but it is interesting to think about. We have an orangey is the new black, a clockwork orangey. Those are the only two I can come up with. Let's get some other ones. And then we need an AI that can generate. Right, but you could break down the political thing to something like, if you were to explain it, but if the thing is like people about that are, it would take someone that's in the middle to say these things versus like someone with no political affiliation whatsoever, and you'd have to have everybody's ear all at the same time. The thing is though, is like the left, Democrats, whoever, are never going to accept an explanation from their mortal enemy as far as why it is that they, because they're always going to be, they're seeing it as they're going to perceive it as an attempt to drag them to the right. They're not going to see it as an attempt to fucking do none of this shit, basically, to do away with all this shit, right? It's like having your enemy try to like, yeah, you're trying to mesmerize me, right? But if you had a middle, moderate kind of non-political, or what do you call it, apolitical figure, or whatever, where you have like no real political affiliation, explain it kind of like those guys like George Carlin and them did. What was the other guy's name? Can't remember his name. The guy from Texas. He was a stand-up comedian that kind of explained a lot of this stuff. Died when he was way younger than he should have been. Can't remember his name, but he was a stand-up comedy guy. But yeah, so maybe just I don't know, man. It seems like everybody gets into the political thing though. But then again, if you see how divisive X is about shit, I can't even have an opinion. Like not mention Trump for like a month, right? Say one thing and like the only response that I get is somebody going, yeah, well, like you're gonna let that pedophile be president. I'm like, wait, did we pick up a conversation that we left off somewhere else and you changed your name and hit your head? Because I have no fucking clue what you're talking about. And they're like, well, you know, I'm like, okay, never mind. Next person, please, right? Like, yeah, I single-handedly elected the man. Come on now. Talk about something else. Like a non-political statement nonetheless, and that's the type of response I get. I'm like, now, I sometimes think people are fucking trolling me, you know? I'm like, I have no fucking clue where that came from. But that's how they are. Like, as long as you have people that are that entrenched in that sort of mindset that, look, they hated Trump long before all these other accusations were made. You know what I mean? They hated Trump since day one. It's like no reason, any reason, whatever, like fabricate a reason, not have reasons. They're gonna come up with one, whether or not they have one or not, right? And it is kind of strange to think that, like the lengths that they went to try and destroy him, that after all these years, you know, no one's ever made any sort of accusation. And if you've ever dealt with lawyers, like I don't know what all the other stuff is, but at some point in time, it's if you've ever been raked over the coals by about a dozen attorneys at once, sometimes it's cheaper just to pay the shit, you know. It's like, and it does come down to like raw numbers, and it doesn't necessarily mean it's an admission of guilt, but sometimes like if you've gone through a court setting, sometimes like if you calculate it and you have a business and you're responsible for your own checkbook and all that shit, you're like, I can either just pay a settlement or I have to pay a dozen lawyers $100,000 each or pay a $100,000 settlement. You're like, well, it's not true, but pure economics, like I'm not going to give these lawyers 1.1 million more dollars than what I have, you know what I mean? So it does boil down to a raw numbers thing sometimes, you know. Not every settlement is an admission of guilt either. But sometimes it does come down to a raw numbers thing. Now, I'm not saying that is what happened or what didn't happen. I'm very not familiar with what the fuck the accusations were or settlements were at any point in time, but I've dealt with it in another sense where I'm like, I can't pay all these fucking people. Would you say I did it? Prove it, you know? At one point in time, I had been accused of stealing $100 from my work, right? And what it came down to is I pled guilty to it because they were going to make me go through a court process. And a court process is something I can't afford, you know, without a job and having to fight to get unemployment and all this shit at the time. So I pled guilty to something that I wasn't guilty of in the name of getting it over with, because then I can get back on track with my life. But with like court proceedings, lawyers, and all the other shit, you're like, yeah, okay, then I plead guilty, sign the paper, get it over with. Doesn't mean that I am, you know, but that is, I've been through some shit like that before in my past, right? And I can only imagine when everybody knows you've got a boatload of money, the type of things people say, and knowing what the consistent with what really, I don't know, but sometimes you fucking it sucks that you can get extorted by the law that way, and it does happen, because it has happened to me, so I can imagine where in a civil matter where the precedence for court or precedence for evidence and accusations is far less because there's no criminal penalty in often cases for you not being able to disprove but the other party not being able to prove. Whereas in a criminal court, like, yeah, there's a certain amount of liability if the state makes a false accusation, can't prove it in court, then they have to fucking, you can go after them for malicious prosecution, all that stuff. Conveniently so, I'll tell you this, the last time I had a real court case, they sentenced me on something else, and sentenced me to a year in jail so that the statute of limitations would expire on the malicious prosecution lawsuit that I had. So they said, we can't just let you get away with all this stuff. I'm like, I haven't done anything wrong. And they kept me, and they sentenced me to jail for a year. Kept me in jail so that the statute of limitations, I'd already been there for a year, and then the 2-year statute of limitations on, it was 2 or 3 years, whatever it was altogether. They kept me in jail past the point where my malicious prosecution, whatever the exact numbers are there, whatever, but to go and show you what a rigmarole it is, right? But you have to say, like, the lengths at which they went to try and stop Donald Trump from being president. So all of this stuff, they were all aware of all these things his first go-around, and we're only now hearing about it. Like, that's awfully convenient considering what the FBI did to him, framing him, trying to plant evidence, raiding his home in Mar-a-Lago and all that stuff. You're like, yeah, it sounds fucking, I hate to say it, man, but it sounds crazy familiar. I went through something very similar all around the exact same time, too, nonetheless. And I can say that if you can pay off local law enforcement to act corrupt or just be crooks or whatever, then it's not impossible, I would say, that guy that you were fucking talking shit about on C-SPAN or whatever, the head of the FBI didn't like that, and all of his friends that I'm sure get paid handsomely for being jerk-offs all probably didn't like it either, Yeah, I would say, it's like, yeah, but then again, making enemies with the wrong person isn't a crime. It sometimes feels like it because they punish you for it, but doesn't mean it is. But I'm very familiar. I'm like, I live in not a shelter, but like a sheltered, what's the word here? Sequestered kind of cloistered life where I'm like, if they could do it on a minimal scale here with local law enforcement, I'm like, yeah, then it stands to reason that the full force of the FBI and all these corrupt agencies or whatever level of corruption there were at the time, and the deep state and all the enemies that you could or couldn't have, right? Yeah, I'm sure they could orchestrate something against the President of the United States, right? Like if the cops here were willing to bump down on me like they did. Yeah, we all seen it, man. We fucking all sat here and watched it on TV. So, yeah, don't let them fool you with that shit. Just drag somebody's name through the mud. And the thing that I hate about it, right, is it all has to do with this goddamn Jeffrey Epstein guy. I'm like, it's made it very difficult for me, you know what I mean? People not wanting to associate with me. It makes my life fucking difficult. I can't get a word in edgewise with anybody because the amount of whatever around people with backgrounds and all that stuff has made it like impossible for me to try and make my way in life. And that is a sad and unfortunate truth. Now, I guess, and I'm not standing up for the guy, but I'm saying, like, you had someone that was apparently doing something pretty terrible, right? Convicted of it and everything else. And now, like, anybody with a criminal past in any way, shape, or form is, like, persona non grata to established individuals to the point where, like, I cannot find a job, I can't do the shit, you know what I mean? as much as I can try, it yields no fruit, you know. So you hate to see like how many opportunities that I've lost in life due to something like that. Yeah, it makes it difficult. That's all, and that's not necessarily a fair. I'm not getting necessarily a fair shake at life, and I know the Constitution doesn't protect or guarantee you a fair shake at life, so I can't be upset with that about it. But I can be upset with people for being susceptible to the government's opinion. You know what I mean? Than anything. I just encourage you to think for yourself. That's all. If you need the government to tell you who to hate, then I don't have much for you. You know, it's probably a good thing that we aren't associates, right? We have farmed a bunch of these things, but these guys are... Any stabbers down there? Oh no, it's okay. There's no stabbers. Yeah, but it's like, yeah, how do you not identify? How do you not identify with people that have gone through things as similar, you know, similar to yourself, right? How do you not identify with that? Fuck. God damn it. Shitty, unlucky resist. I don't know how much longer I'm gonna keep farming. Even if I wanted to continue while I had something to talk about, but if I don't have anything to talk about, then yikes. See, your pet stands still. Mine fucking. They don't add that to mine until later. Yeah, but if you're familiar with like, it is a form of extortion that people engage in, right? Like, you mean to tell me there's a person that has nothing to lose? All they have to do is make an accusation. They have no empathy for another living individual, and they know that there's money to be made. Like, yeah, I've seen people motivated by far less to do far worse things. So I don't take it out of the realm of possibility that someone would just outright lie against a man. I really don't. And I would say, like, it would be very difficult, I would think, to cover all of that up all of these years. It's like it just now suddenly coming to light. Yeah, right. I have questions, obviously. I don't believe this shit. Like, where were all the leftists at the time on Trump's initial thing? It's like, well, what happened is he pissed all those people off the first time. They stole the second election, couldn't steal the third one, and going for broke. It's like, yeah, I'm very familiar with people that have this sort of behavior. I had a whole police department go for broke, you know what I mean, and try to fuck my entire life over. Gonna send me to prison for 30 fucking years for them planting evidence in my home without a warrant, breaking into my home, showing up unannounced, finding themselves like the first court proceeding, the officer that broke into my home, him and his fucking cronies. He said, "Well, it was like we had consent," and like my lawyer, I'm sitting there going, another lawyer, another friend of this person that paid to these people to do this, a judge in another county over, and an attorney in this county. I'm like raising the issue. I go, that liar, that cop, that pig they put on the stand to say that shit, you need to say something about it, because you know there's no legal precedence for like consent. There either is or there isn't. You know, and she would not raise the issue. And I'm like, well, this isn't fair. I'm going to get railroaded here. Meanwhile, the judge proceeding over the case, first day in court, he makes fun of me for wearing a suit and tie. And then he says, yeah, I had all your paperwork on the dashboard of my truck. I can't find it now. The wind must have blown it off. I swear to God, that's what these people said. And I'm like, I'm going to get railroaded by these fucking hillbillies. They're going to try and give me 30 years in prison for this shit. And they tried. They tried to. Talk about fighting for your fucking life, dude. Nothing is more scary than a bunch of fucking toothless hillbillies sitting there ready to fucking bang the gavel and give you 30 years for something that they did. Nothing is more scary than that. And you go to the FBI or don't go to the FBI, they come to you and they don't see a problem with what the fucking cops did to me? Are you serious? Yeah, I've got hell to raise about all of it. Like the cops came to me, or no, the FBI came to me and asked for help as far as John was concerned. And I'm like, you people are asking me to help with, and you don't see the problem with the cops that he paid to come here and do this shit to me? Really? I'm like, I basically no. I have not participate in this shit. After a certain point in time, I had lawyers and stuff, and I had lawyers raking me over the coals and everything else. And I'm like, this is untenable. Yeah, at some point in time, I like, whereas anybody else might have paid a settlement or whatever, I said, you are going to have to convict me of what you say I've done wrong, which they had no accusation at that time. But there's always that, like, if you deal with the government, there's always that there is some possibility, you know, kind of shit. I'm like, okay, then you're going to have to make good on your promise? Yeah, right. Your fucking sarcastic promise that you made that you're going to convict me of something. I'm like, okay, well, make good on it. That's the second time in my life that I've had to do that. And that's a whole lot of time in prison to have to sit there and make that decision. But when you know you haven't done anything wrong, you know, but I've been bullied into confessing and signing paper and pleading out to like $100 theft at an employer of mine before because I didn't want to go through the fucking process, you know, and I learned my lesson then. I should have learned my lesson when I was 18 years old and did this shit. Didn't learn it the second time, thought I did, thought I'd never have to deal with this shit ever again. And then it comes along and I learned that second time though. I said, no, you have to convict me of the thing that you aren't even accusing me of doing. But you're just making my life difficult. You have 4 or 5 armed police officers on camera waving a pistol around in my face without a warrant in my home, without consent to search or enter or anything. I'm like, yeah, I have nothing for you. Right? Like, I need you to help me get to the bottom of how that even happened. Without getting all whatever about it, but it doesn't seem like America to me. You think if it weren't American, everybody should take issue with it then. Hopefully eventually we do. Some of the cops stole shit from my home, took pictures of the keepsakes that they had stolen from me, sent them to John himself, and he posted about it on Twitter, tongue-in-cheek like he does, bragging about fucking somebody over like he does. Glad the bitch is dead, dude. Fuck that guy. I know other people, the crypto space and all that stuff, really appreciate everything about him, and they fail to look at all the shit that he did to people, and I'm the person that put an end to all of it. Well, he put an end to himself, really, but he found himself in a very precarious situation. But neither here nor there. But if someone did that to you, like, what would you think? Like, how the fuck do you restrain from strangling somebody to death that does this shit to you, kind of thing? It's like, well, a cadre of armed people and everybody having guns and being complete and total fucking raging jerk-offs all the time makes that impossible. Having the cops as your goddamn mall security, basically. He had women calling 911 locked in his basement downstairs on one occasion, and I have screenshots of it. And the cops showing up and not doing any sort of anything, just a knock at the door. Oh, it was just a simple miscommunication kind of shit. Like, that's what happens when you pay off the police to work for you. And this is him after he ran for president and everything else. So, the type of shit you're up against, right? But I'm not going to spend my entire holiday here crying about it. And I think, in all honesty, I can find the tweet that where he bragged about doing this shit, and they could compare it to probably text messages from the cops that did it, or get somebody to say like, yeah, no, he admitted to this shit, right? Not just because he had to or you were forcing him to, but no, because he did the shit. So I'll have my day in court eventually. I know that much. I guess I'm gonna get like 12 of these and then call it quits for a little while and see. Oh, there we are. And stream some more later. I got some stuff to eat and all that.